Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is SamElliott64, and welcome to the RoboCast. I'm joined alongside.
And there's no one through to the rewards guru.
And Steve the American Killjoy.
And we are here for the 12th. Is it the 12th? It is the 12th
Yes.
episode, isn't it? Yes, the 12th episode of BattleBots 2019.
Round dozen.
And we have a weekly guest. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hi, it's Matt Spurk from Team Kraken.
It's been a long old while since we've had you on. It's way back at the start of the season. Many things have happened since then. How do you feel like your season's got up to this point? Like, would you if you're going to give it a grade, what would you give it?
Probably about a C. I think our robot was better than our record has been. I think we've had some good fights and been in interesting matches, and just haven't been able to do quite enough to get the victory. So
I have to say, the fight with Blacksmith was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yeah,
it was one
that
of the top fights of the season so far, I think.
Thank you. That was my favorite as well. Yeah, we have another good one that was one of the bonus fights later on in the season that they aired or they haven't aired. So hopefully that comes out to supporters and on YouTube and stuff later on. But
yeah, we got a lot of peeks at bonus fights this episode, so that was a nice thing. Maybe we'll get some more. That would be nice. I really like that they added that segment. I was hoping to see Kraken again.
Yeah, it was a nice little supercut going on in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
I believe, Matt, you also posted during the week while leading up to this episode, like this fighting Son of Whyachi was like a big deal for you. Why don't you talk us through that?
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, when they come around, Peter Apronson, the builder of Ronin, he comes around to all the builders and kind of lets them know who they're going to be fighting. And he stopped by our pit and he goes, "You guys are up against Son of Whyachi." And immediately, all I jumped up for joy and both arms went up, and I was super excited and pumped. And some of the other members on our team heads went down and they groaned. For kind of obvious reasons, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But so for us, it's fighting Son of Whyachi, fighting Blacksmith was kind of one of those fights where it was like, all right, you don't fight Son of Whyachi unless you're a robot that they think is going to put on a good show in that fight, right? You're not relegated to the Rumble fights or the fights that aren't going to make it on television. A fight against Son of Whyachi is going to get televised regardless of the outcome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt it was a good chance for us to maybe pull off an upset and get into the round of 16, which is what, at that point in the season, we didn't think we had a good shot to get in. We didn't have a kind of a statement win that would be enough in the selection committee's eye to put us into the finals. And a win there would have done that.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a very good point. Obviously, it's a big scalp to take down Son of Whyachi, and I think that was a... We'll get to that later. We'll get to your fight later. Yes. We'll start though with Minotaur and Shatter. Now, this for me was Minotaur at its rampant best. It really came out swinging, and Shatter didn't. Unfortunately, they just seemed to have
Got shattered.
They did get shattered. I mean, I have to say credit to Shatter for not breaking down throughout the whole fight, for keeping in at Minotaur the whole fight. And they only lost because they couldn't self-right. Their acts obviously played up quite a lot this season. It's just one of those unfortunate things. But Minotaur was on top form in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Nice to see Minotaur's finally woken up again.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
Took them a while.
They had a really sluggish start, but they've really picked up, especially since the Desperado tournament.
So my prediction might not be so daft after all, people.
Well, is it 3-3?
Watch it now. Not make it to the top 16. I'm gonna cry.
It is at 3-3. And Steve just posted a very nice little thing for us for later on, which we'll get to later on. But Minotaur, from my point of view, I think Shatter. I think they can be happy with their season. Really, they finished 2-2. They're in that massive myriad of machines that have finished 2-2 this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only problem with Shatter, the good thing going for Shatter is the two losses are against Minotaur and Witch Doctor, which are two very, very decent machines.
Mm-hmm.
I think the problem they face is their wins. And their wins are against Wan Hoo and... Who was their other win? I can't remember for the life of me. Oh, it was Kingpin, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was
the one fight that is kind of like hidden from the world.
Yeah, so for some reason, Discovery posted this on their page. I think it's still on there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're just owning up to. Maybe they did it on purpose. Who knows?
Maybe, but yeah, there you go.
Try to
So
give them benefit of the doubt.
they fought Kingpin on a as yet untelevised online only fight. Sure, we'll go with that. Matt, I want to bring you in here. What did you think of this fight?
Yeah, it was a great fight. Obviously, we fought against Adam and Shatter, or his previous versions of Shatter before. Fantastic robot. He said online that earlier on in the match, Minotaur got underneath of him and actually took out one of the drive chains to the weapon motor. So he was only firing the hammer on about 50% power for that whole fight. And I think that's why you saw the hammer kind of underwhelm in that one. You know, it was nothing compared to what he had against Wan Hoo.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to be, in order to beat Minotaur, you have to be at 100%. You can't be at 50%. But you know, his weapon, or his armor strategy, the ablative armor, coupled with the titanium behind that, was, I mean, just proved in that fight and his fight against Whiplash as well. That was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't take much external damage, if any, at all, really. Obviously, as you said, the ablative armor fell off, and as it's meant to do, lost the wedgelets at the front. But other than that, it's just not many. I was saying this. I was watching it over the weekend. I was saying that you watch it, and not many teams can say they go like a full good chunk of time with Minotaur at 100% and not end up out being swept out the arena.
There was less than 30 seconds left in the match, and had Minotaur's little wedgelets had they not actually finally gotten under Shatter and given him that really good hit, this might have gone 3 minutes.
Yeah, it might have done. But in the end,
I don't think the result would have changed, though.
No, I think Minotaur had this fight fairly easy. I mean, in fairness, when Shatter brought the axe down or the hammer down, I will give them credit. They managed to get it lodged in the wheel at one point. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh, that was great.
I was thinking, hello, maybe.
My heart skipped a few beats.
It was crazy.
I was
the
like,
accuracy
no,
was amazing.
No, not again.
Yeah, but no, Minotaur back at 3-3. I think we can. I mean, top 16. I think it's fairly
such a weird record.
Yeah,
for them, because they started off so slow, then had that Desperado tournament flurry, and then lost the Black Dragon. Now they have another win. I don't know where we put them. I'd hate to say we put them in the bottom 8, but I guess you kind of have to with how their season started.
Yeah,
I don't know what else you do.
I think you look at their wins. They've beaten Lucky, which is a good machine, obviously in the Desperado, regardless, but they've got to win.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Endgame, again, a good machine, and they beat Shatter, a good machine.
Yeah.
So for me, I'd say, put them in. But
the fact that Endgame won last episode does help their record now that Endgame has started winning.
Absolutely, that fight against Cobalt may have even saved Minotaur after all that, but
possibly
we'll have to wait and see with that later on. But we'll shift our attention then to Matt.
We'll fight.
So, obviously, you said you were very excited to kind of fight them. Did that kind of change when you fully got set up in the arena with that, or was it like you were still pumped the whole time?
It became real.
Yeah.
No, I got a little bit more focused right before the fight, because we can kind of, where we were backstage, this was actually the very first fight in the session. They kind of shifted the order around a little bit. And so we were able to hear Chris and Kenny's kind of introduction, and they, said the same thing everyone else said, that Kraken basically has no shot, and that kind of focused me. It kind of heated my blood a little bit, and so I was in the zone. We had a strategy going in, just trying to stay, kind of give Son of Whyachi the right-hand side of the robot, let him kind of aim for his left, or kind of steer left, trying to hit him and make him skip. And it worked for the first couple of hits. I mean, we got, I think, 3 hits where we kind of shot him over in the corner, and he started peeling back some of the wedge. Mm-hmm. And I saw a different clip where it showed us on the very last hit where we went in. I missed. I kind of went straight into the weapon, and I needed to keep going on that right-hand side. And so I missed, and he was able to get a square shot on the side of that armor on the lower jaw, and it just wrecked us from there. The whole post gearboxes came off. I mean, it was just a massacre at that point. But
absolutely, some of the, I mean, Son of Whyachi has a habit of breaking physics, like just decimating its opponents. But just like watching, like 250 pounds of Kraken just fly across the arena like it did, it was spectacular. Like it was just bouncing around like a pinball. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, the very first hit, after the very first hit when we went flying across the arena, we were spinning on the lower jaw, like on the lower edge of that jaw. And I was just sitting there thinking, come on, get back on.
Just settle down. I think we've lost Matt.
No.
To the far other side. Oh, I'm back.
Oh, you're back now.
There you go.
Hello, you're back now.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Go on, sorry.
Yeah, it just cartwheeled all the way across the arena, spinning on its nose, and that was one of those. Like I was just waiting for it to get back on its wheels so I could get back in before he got spun up, and it was like, come on, any minute now. It seemed like it took forever.
I was like right at the start, the box rush you did, I honestly thought like you got him in the jaws at the start, like hello. It was a fantastic, start, but then obviously it kind of escalated quite quickly after that, but. I think it can be, you can't really moan at a loss with a loss against Son of Whyachi. I mean, they're highly rated for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. We went into it with, you can't lose this fight. If we win, it's a massive upset. It's completely shock everyone. And if we lose, well, we were supposed to lose anyway. So there wasn't a lot of. It was
a win-win for you, basically.
Yep.
Right. And when you're in that situation, you have nothing to lose. Our season's over if we lose that fight. It kind of frees you to just kind of drive and do your thing.
You took the fight you were given.
Yeah.
I have to ask as well. Obviously, after this fight, you kind of, unwind and kind of see where you're at. Did you think you'd done enough to get in the bracket, or did you think that was game over?
No, we didn't do enough to get in. I felt after that fight, we didn't have a statement win, and then you look at some of the bots, like Minotaur's at 500, right?
Yeah.
So if they're gonna take, if we're at 500, Minotaur's at 500, they're gonna take Minotaur, So 16 robots is not many when the field is almost 70.
Yeah.
Right.
So we needed a statement win, and this would have been our statement win. We didn't get that, so.
Yep. Which apparently dropped down to. Like in this episode, I noticed. I think they said, because I know in the beginning of the season, it was 67, even though there's technically 69 on the website, and then it dropped down to 66 or 65 in this episode. So I do know that there are one or two teams that have posted things online.
Yeah,
of
so
not being able to get through safety. And stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
with that said, like
anyway,
you say you didn't feel like you'd done enough. Obviously.
Yeah.
Were you happy with how you performed as a obviously over the course of your 4 fights? Obviously, up to this point, you kind of said a C. How do you feel about after the Son of Whyachi fight? Like, again, still kind of the same level, or
A plus?
Yeah. I felt, like I said, I felt good about our season overall. I felt our robot was better. I thought we were infinitely more reliable than we were last season. Our reliability last year was terrible. So. We had nowhere to go but up, and I felt like we were a better robot this year than our record showed.
I would agree. I mean, you look at your season last year, and like the thing that we all kind of saw was like the more the season went on, the better you got, and I think you kind of carry that on, and like there's only so much you can do against the level of opponents you had. I mean, Blacksmith, as much as it doesn't get the knockouts every like maybe it should do. It's such a hard robot to beat, and the Son of Whyachi. You can't really complain at that. So from
Ribot 2-2 at this point. I mean, that's,
exactly.
That win was pretty strong.
Yeah, exactly. It was a great performance against them too. So I'd say you did a fairly good job.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, there's just 1 or 2 things will change in the off season again this year. We're gonna try and keep iterating and keep improving, and then hopefully we'll be back. Next year.
I love the way it looks. Let's leave that.
Yes, please. Yeah, please keep the black and green.
It's so cool.
Okay. Very good.
Anderson, anything more to add? Yeah.
No, I think it's all been covered really. Kraken got smacked, but it's good robot. Continue.
We'll move on to the All China fight, which is between Railgun MAX and Wan Hoo.
Apparently a grudge match.
Yeah, so from what Chris and Kenny were explaining, Wan Hoo took the win the last time these two teams fought each other, but it fell to Railgun this time, and Railgun's looking pretty solid. I mean, the weapon. This is the first time the weapons failed on Railgun MAX this season, and they started to kind of peter out towards the end of the fight. But when it was hitting Wan Hoo, it was just really giving out the beans. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was a strong showing from them again. I think it's a nice grudge match win for them. So now it's 1-1. With the other, both of them apparently being judges' decision wins. I don't remember them fighting. I've been trying to catch up on this as Fighting Robots, and I think there's only like 4 episodes that are subtitled. I find it more interesting when I can actually figure out what the heck everybody is saying. But yeah, this was a good. I don't know if they actually fought in This Is Fighting Robots, but anyway, or if it was KFC Death Camp. I don't remember.
KFC Death Camp.
It was in a car park. That's where it was.
Yeah, that's what. Isn't that what Tim called it? Anyway.
Yeah, go on.
But anyway, this was a good fight for them. I think there was quite a bit edited out of this fight because it just became a let's just mash our noses together and dance kind of fight. But yeah, they really dominated the beginning of this fight, and I think that was enough to get them through. Though we do see chinks in their armor. Railgun MAX is not infallible.
Absolutely not.
They had 2 really good fights that were just completely decimated Mad Catter and Shell Shock, and I think the producers figured, yeah, we're not going to give them cupcakes anymore. So I think it was a good fight. Wan Hoo is a super durable robot. It took them to 3 minutes. I mean, it was a clash fight all around. Again, Wan Hoo loses its belt, but I think they'll adjust that for next season if they come back.
Yeah, I think they will because I mean they've ended up at 2-2. I think they can be very happy with that for a first attempt for a Chinese team. As for Railgun, they still have 1 more fight to go, I think. Wan Hoo, I was been very impressed with the fact that he just stayed together. There was as much as it was getting flicked around by Railgun, there was no armor panels coming off.
I mean, it's proved throughout the season it can take the big hits. It got obliterated by Captain Shredderator and managed to win via KO in the end because Shredderator killed itself as it always does.
Yeah.
They took many, many, many hits from Shatter and were still going by the end of it. And again, they got some proper good hits here, and they just survived. It's a brick. It's tough as hell, and you can't kill it.
Yeah.
It's like Duck, really, in a way.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it just has this, an inability to die. It's great. Matt, what have you made of the standard of the Chinese teams coming across this season? How far behind the Americans are they, or are they not? Are they now level pegging? Would you say?
Yeah, I don't know that they were behind at all. If they are, it's not much. They're maybe not at the level of like a Witch Doctor or a Bite Force or something like that, but certainly as middle of the pack team, for sure. This was really the first time I think Railgun MAX really got challenged. This was definitely their hardest fight so far. So it'd be interesting to see what when they face a little bit tougher competition. And then Wan Hoo, he's been thrown into some tough matches and just come away with a 2-2 record. I mean, that's nothing to be ashamed of for sure.
Absolutely not. They've done a great job, and I think both teams can go away very happy from this season. I think that's a solid representation of China.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll move on to the. I think next was the smorgasbord, wasn't it? Of the the cut fights. We'll start from the top then, which was Marvin and Axe Backwards, which Marvin won on the judges. Good to see. I'm very happy to see that Hannah actually managed to get a win this season. That's really cool.
Yeah. And against Axe Backwards, which we just, Kurt, I love your robot, but man, this thing looked cool, and it just lacked the effectiveness this year. I feel really bad for him because it just looks it's just such a different design.
Yeah.
But I mean, he'll come back with something better. Maybe Axe Backwards again. Maybe something completely new. You never know with him.
You never know. Then Marvin again fought Falcon and lost on the judges. Which, okay, fair enough. Falcon taking some, it's got some decent drums on it, so it seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
Mad Catter beating Battlesaw. It's interesting to see that we saw Battlesaw but
Yeah, it killed a mini bot.
it did kill a mini bot, but then it killed itself, which is
Yeah.
Look, I don't care. Mad Cat's got to win. That's all I care
yes.
about.
I'm so happy. It's fantastic, fantastic. Mammoth versus Foxtrot.
Yay, we got this fight finally.
Yes,
Of course they were going to do
I
that.
will say that it was only like a brief second of highlight for this fight, but like just watching Foxtrot like just dive bomb into the middle of Mammoth and just getting stuck in there.
It's the highlight I think everybody wanted
Just got
because that's
stuck
what
in the
happened in
middle.
Orlando.
It's amazing. I love it. Can these two fight every year, please? It's just so wonderful to watch. Gemini getting a win against Mammoth.
Yeah.
Mammoth's had like 5 fights this season as well, by the way.
They're all over the place.
Because they fought Axe Backwards, they fought Uppercuts, they fought Wan Hoo, Foxtrot, and Gemini. So that's 5.
Bloody hell.
Interesting to note. Interesting to note.
Maybe.
4 Horsemen beating Sub-Zero, and I think
Don't know what happened. to
Wait.
Sub-Zero.
4 Horsemen want to fight.
I know.
Well, Sub-Zero, something happened in this fight. This fight went 2 minutes, but we're trying to figure out what happened to Sub-Zero in this fight. Maybe one of the little spinners caught it or something because it was smoking something horrible in this fight.
It was. I think. Again, I'm sure Matt, you could probably correct us if we're wrong. But was this fight before the P1 fight?
I honestly do not know.
I was saying it is a long time ago. I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, and so like we're so busy getting Kraken ready. I like this whole episode was brand new to me. I barely got I knew what happened in our fight,
Yeah.
but the other ones are a complete shock. So I'm watching new with everyone else.
Yeah. Okay. Extinguisher. We finally got to see it. Yes, and it won.
Technically, its first fight. I don't know what this means.
I mean,
we still don't know its fight of 4 horsemen.
we don't, but they beat Battlesaw, which is good. I like
So
John.
that's what it's worth.
Yeah. And Battlesaw caught fire. At least, as the commentator said, at least there was an extinguisher present. That's all that matters.
What? Hey!
Excellent. Double Jeopardy is here as well. We
Yeah.
got to see them in a rumble with 4 Horsemen and Lucky. Lucky taking the win there. Tantrum getting its second win against Jasper and Uppercut. Obviously, Uppercut's progressed very well since then. And Kingpin beating Daisy Cutter, which has made it into the season. And Deep Six. I will tell a little story about this.
Yeah, we've had to be really cagey about this for a while.
Yeah. Well, we were fortunate enough to this weekend just gone to spend the weekend with Mr. Psycho, and he obviously went to BattleBots. He was telling me that this fight was the one where Kenny Florian left for 10 minutes straight and they had to delay filming because Deep Six just fell over Daisy Cutter. And Kingpin got a win, which is great. Which is great. So that's the.
He said like he couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah, that was it. He just wouldn't stop laughing, and I could see why because Deep Six just fell over. It was wonderful. We'll go back to the main show.
Yeah.
And can we talk about Witch Doctor? Because, my God.
BattleBots Twitter called this Ultimate Frisbee.
Witch Doctor.
Super about that.
The height that Gigabyte attained. First of all, it's a spinner. Second of all, it wasn't running full speed. Thirdly, Gigabyte is just the worst shape to flip. And how? I'm astounded. I'm astounded by Witch Doctor this season.
I
mean,
think
it's
we've learned.
again, it's just it's woke up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's because I'm happy to announce that I didn't give it 2 hopes in hell at the
I didn't
beginning
put
of
them in
this
my
season.
bracket. I didn't put them in my bracket, and
No,
I
nor
feel
did I.
very silly.
I didn't put them on the bubble either. I feel like a complete cock. I'm going to now go and commit suicide. Be
Oh,
right
no,
back.
no, don't do that. That's
And
too
we're
much.
off the air.
Matt,
Madness.
tell me,
Yeah.
like, Witch Doctor, how?
I'm pleasantly surprised with how well they're doing. They
Yes.
went through a major redesign last season. I think like a lot of teams, they kind of struggled with, a new redesign on a short schedule. And they spent the whole off season working on improving that robot, just improving every aspect of it. And I'm so happy to see them come out and dominate. They're obviously great friends of ours from Miami. And it's fantastic.
It's great to see them, finally live up to the potential that they've been promising this for like years and years and years. It just hasn't happened for them.
Yeah, everything's falling into place for them right now. and they are an awesome team, an awesome robot. Mike's an awesome driver. I mean, they're going to be a team that's going to be tough to beat them this year for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I'll give credit to Gigabyte though, for the fact that they did so well as well to survive as long as they did. But there comes a point when you just can't take any more.
Yeah, I think we've learned that you can't. You got to stop feeding Witch Doctor shell spinners because she's just going to eat them.
Yeah.
So I mean, the height that they got. I think Witch Doctor has really found something. They found something with sticking this weapon really far out in the front of their robot with no feeder wedge, nothing like that, and it's just.
I mean, they used a wedge for this one.
Much, huh?
They even used a wedge for this one.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh. I just watched this yesterday. God forbid me, I'd forget. but yeah, this was really just a clinic. It wasn't, and you got to think Gigabyte is one of these robots that's been around for years.
Yeah.
Wiping the floor with people. It retired Biohazard. Like these are this is one of these robots that just you expect damage, not it to get damaged. I was very happy to see Gigabyte was able to use their self-righting pole effectively, without it breaking, because we've seen that a couple times this year, or in the past season.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could technically say Bloodsport because they were using one of their poles anyway. But it was a really just a one-sided affair, and that's not what I expected. I expected more of a like not an even fight, but more out of Gigabyte. But they were just outclassed in this fight, and Witch Doctor, I think, is top 4, if not higher.
Easy.
Oh,
So-
easy.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. I mean,
Yep.
Gigabyte
What
so
you
far.
lose in round 1 of the top 16?
I know.
guys?
Don't say that.
Here we go.
I mean, let's give Gigabyte some credit. I mean, they've only lost to Huge, who is a difficult enough opponent to fight, and Witch Doctor, who have been dominant.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think of the 2-2 teams that are around it, I think they can be fairly happy because
Very strong.
and they beat Minotaur as well, which is a big scalp.
Yep,
Yeah,
they got strong wins and strong record.
Yeah, of the 2-2 teams, I think they're probably one of the more likely ones to get into the top 16 this season.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think the
But
only
it's so
one that's,
hard to tell because everyone's
know.
got the same amount of points.
I think the only one that's like above it for the 2-2s for me is Rotator, but that's obviously because they have that massive win against Tombstone. Like, I think that's kind of all the 2-2s, that's the one that's kind of sent out to me. But
Yeah.
you know, Gigabyte again, you can't really say that they haven't had a solid run of things, but maybe it won't be enough. We'll have to.
Last year, anyway.
Well, that's a yeah. They had a rough run this last time, but they've done well so far this year, and credit to them.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll move on to Breaker Box and Bloodsport. So you mentioned Bloodsport. Here they are.
Yeah.
Man, where do I begin?
Breaker
Where-
Box just looks really pretty.
It does. It's beautiful, and I love the LED board.
So does Bloodsport.
They both do.
I know.
They both do. I have to question Matt here, because I think, give us a bit of insight. Why would Jim go with the scoop rather than the big plow?
So I think his scoop was damaged from previous matches, and he was worried that it was going to be a weakness. So he went with the scoop because it was just kind of what he had left.
Right.
Yeah.
I say because I was watching the whole time. I was just thinking, do you know what? That angled wedge would be so nice to just deflect Bloodsport away. And it'd be.
Blame uppercut. It's uppercut's
I
fault.
know.
That's the
I
reason he
know.
lost.
It just split that thing clean in two, and I think. I think he kind of earned him with his hands tied a little bit, because I think had he had that wedge, it'd have been no problem. But obviously, if it's just split in two, not split in two, but had a big chunk missing out the front, then
Mhm.
them
And
angles,
its third
man.
fight now. Its drive has died.
Yeah. So my career again, another question which I don't know if Matt you can answer, but is the LED board on top taking too much out of the power? Is it just drawing too much?
I wonder if he was dealing with interference. I know some teams were dealing with interference
Yes.
on the stage.
Yes, they were.
So
Yeah. I don't know exactly what it was that caused all the different failures. Typically, you see the same failure, it's the same thing. But with a lot of these bots, I know like Captain Shredder, he one component would fail, he'd replace that one, the next component in the line would fail, and he was just kind of failing one after the other. So I know Breaker Box is like way overvolting his motors. He's pushing them, kind of to their max. So I'm wondering if maybe that was the cause of it. But I don't know the whole story from Jim, what caused the failure in this fight.
Because it's a shame, because I mean, I've seen fights with Breaker Box in the past, and it's a tough bot to beat when it's at full tilt. It can really stay on you. It can deflect the hits, and
I had Breaker Box for my top 16 at the start of the season. It's such a shame because I think it does have the potential to do it. It's a solid machine. We've seen it over the years with, it's just evolved so well, and I just think that it's such a shame because we haven't seen what it can do.
Yeah, it'll come back.
It's kind of a more purpose-built duck. He's got that front wedge. It's basically very similar to duck this season, but with the more functional front wedge. And there was a lot of opportunity there with that bot. And I know Jim's disappointed in his season for sure.
No, sure, absolutely, I would be too.
It's a shame because obviously he wasn't there last year as well, and obviously bringing Nightmare's all well and good. It's a great showpiece, but I think he not that he wants to win, but he obviously you turn up, you kind of expect to give it a little bit of a challenge, and I think Nightmare.
He wanted to be more competitive this year. I can tell.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. Conversely, credit to Bloodsport. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I love Bloodsport.
You can tell.
Yeah, I love it. You guys have just been waffling on about about Breaker Box. I'm just glad that Bloodsport finally got a fucking win again. I love Bloodsport. Don't get me wrong, I love Breaker Box. It's a shame it lost, but Bloodsport, baby.
Yeah, that bar is scary, man. It does stop every once in a while, but once it pulls off and they get time, it spins back up and it's deadly.
It did. It looked. There was that point, wasn't there, where it stopped for like 10 seconds. Oh no, oh no, and then it spun back up and goes.
Not too dissimilar from its fight against Lucky, where they kind of have it cool down for a sec and then they spin it back up. So.
Yeah.
But it does give a chance for attack, so you just got to be careful and drive well. And I don't know, it's been hanging in there. It's got a couple solid wins against bots that are supposed to really be the ones that are
to it.
Bricks, Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, and I think Bloodsport could be very happy with their season, considering I think it is a college team as well.
Yeah.
So I think they could be very happy with how their season's gone. They, as you say, they do have that kind of underlying issue of they need to wait for it to almost reset and go again and work out what how they're going to attack. But other than that, I mean, it's a dangerous machine. You don't want to fight it. I think at this point, they've recovered well from a big loss against Black Dragon, and Bloodsport have done well. I think they can be very happy with how their debut season's going at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing. With any kinetic spinner, I don't know what experience everybody has here with spinners and stuff like that, but when it hits something, it just stops, and then you got to restart and run. You got to run it all the way down and then run it back up to full tilt again if it stalls out. So I mean, they may be having problems related to that. I don't know.
Yeah, but, I think so.
There's that.
Yeah, I think they can. Yeah, I think within a season or two they'll be really starting to wind it up quite nicely. So we'll have to see how Bloodsport gets on. We'll move on to Texas Twister and Whiplash, two machines at 2-1, looking to go to 3-1. And I will say that it was kind of interesting to see the insight going into this with Texas Twister. Kind of will they use the heavy disc, which will hit harder but take longer to spin up. Obviously, Whiplash is a very fast machine. They want to be spinning up faster, so they went with the middle disc in the end. But Whiplash was all over them.
Yeah.
So quickly.
It was just, I don't know how you stop Whiplash from doing what it does. I do, you're right. I do think that, obviously Texas Twister was looking to rebound after their demolishing display against Whyachi the other day. But this was a tough draw for them. It's tough when you're a two-wheel robot against a really good four-wheel pusher with a lifting arm. With Whiplash, you're always going to be bouncing around and not have your disc on the ground. And I liked that how they went with the idea of being an undercutter to the beginning, try to get at Matt's wheels, but to no avail. Once that weapon went on Texas Twister, and you saw the lick of flame, and their whole weapon motor was gone. And
that's
after that, it was curtains. You know, it was pretty much it. And all Matt had to do was just drive around and try to get Spitfire, and unfortunately he wasn't successful.
I did love him trying to swipe Spitfire out the sky.
He needed to bring a rake, man. That's what he needed.
Damn yellow robots and their rakes. You know, for me personally, I'm happy to see Whiplash get the win. Of course, Fuzzy, I think can be quite happy with 2 and 2. To be honest with you, I mean that's it's a marked improvement over what he bought with Hypothermia last year.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I'm glad for him that he's been able to kind of improve on that. Obviously this was a match that they had last year with Hypothermia. I think their first fight was Whiplash, so it was quite cool to see them fight it out once again. But yeah, as soon as they bent that wheel and it was just, as I said, the weapon motor set fire. That was GG's, as the kids say these days. Anything more to add?
It was awesome.
There you go.
Yeah.
Who was it who said that Texas Twister was just a yeehaw Valkyrie?
I can't remember. Someone did.
Someone said that. It was brilliant.
A yeehaw Valkyrie. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Whiplash get 3 and 1. I think they can be fairly certain of a bracket place. Texas Twister, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. It depends.
Maybe.
It depends. I mean,
their 2 losses are quite
wins.
big. Their 2 losses were quite big opponents as well. They lost to Son of Whyachi and Whiplash, so there's no disgrace there. But we'll have to wait and see.
Right, and they did beat. They have beaten Black Dragon, which won the Desperado tournament, and they beat him on a judge's decision.
Yeah.
And then you had the Axe backwards fight.
Yes, of course.
Which, I mean, it's still a win. So I mean,
it was a fight.
It was a fight. So I mean, see, that's the thing. It's hard where it's hard when you're going to be defined by who the producers set you up to fight. You know, so if you got set up with robots that ended up doing worse in the season, it's unfortunate for you.
It looks worse on your part.
Exactly. So for example, what's a good example? They were talking about Wan Hoo yesterday, with their fights being against kind of average, their wins being against like middle of the road opponents, where they beat a Captain Shredderator, but they're 0-4, and they beat Mammoth, but it's Mammoth. So I mean, it's tough when you get stuck up against robots that maybe wouldn't have as strong of records when your robot is like this is tough for the 2 and 2 robots. You know what I mean? Where you got fights that were maybe earlier on, or fights in the season where they didn't know the capability of your robot, you know, and they didn't want to stick you into the fire against like Bite Force or Tombstone right away.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I'll just leave it at that. I mean, it's not a bad thing. I mean, how are you supposed to have a tournament with 60 some odd robots and only give them 4 fights and then have it all be equal in the end? There's
someone's gonna lose out.
Exactly. Kenny put it right during the segment in the middle where there's a lot of parity amongst all the robots, where it's there's a lot of similar records, and then you can kind of, I mean, parity meaning equality, and then there's a lot of things you can kind of dig deeper and figure out more about a robot's record, but it is a little bit tougher to substantiate a 2 and 2 record for like a robot like Wan Hoo versus a 2 and 2 record for someone like Gigabyte, where we were just talking earlier.
Yeah, exactly. Very good point.
Ooh,
that was a good spiel. I was impressed with that.
I'm gonna need a drink.
Have a drink of water.
I tend to ramble. I think people have figured that out by now.
Yeah, I was gonna say the other thing you have to consider in this is not only the record, but how you performed in those fights.
Yes.
Right. So like Texas Twister beat Black Dragon, but it was a very controversial fight. The weapon went out pretty early. He did deal some damage, but it wasn't a huge statement win that really said, yeah, I'm here and I'm ready to play. And then obviously got dominated by Son of Whyachi and Whiplash, and again the weapon went out. So the selection committee looks at all of those things, not just your record, but how you got that record.
Yeah, so there's a little bit more of an eye test. I know everybody who watches college football, when I say eye test, they cringe. But that's the nature of it. I do agree what you hear. I do see what you're talking about, Matt, where they gotta, you're more than just your record. It's your quality of wins.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
You have to beat a top 16 robot if you want to be in the top 16. I mean, if you haven't beaten a top 16 robot, then they're not going to look at you and say, well, you don't really deserve to be there.
Which is why you were so excited to fight Whyachi. There we
exactly.
go. Wrapped it around.
Exactly.
Dear me. Right. Shall we talk about Bronco and Huge?
Yeah. Yes, we shall.
So, going into this, like before, when the fight card was revealed, I saw this and I immediately thought of Gabriel over in the UK, and I know full well that one of the things that John Lear from Beast said when he was drew against Gabriel in Series 8 was, "I've got that thing in my heat because he can't flip it." And I thought it was going to go kind of the same way. Bronco would struggle to flip Huge because where's the body? Where do you flip? There's no kind of contact area. They managed to do it very well. I was very impressed that Bronco were actually able to, and I think for the most part they were on top for a good portion of the fight. So I was actually quite impressed.
Yeah, they do know how to bend their metal, those Inertia Labs guys. They
really
know how
do.
to make these things.
I don't know.
Unicorn horn, what?
I don't even know what was going. I mean, the whole thing was just like it looked like a mess. I'll be honest with you. I didn't like the look of Bronco in this fight, but it was obviously all practicality.
It looked like it just woke up and got out of bed.
It really did. It really did. It really did. But credit to them. It all was function, and I liked the fact that they were able to get a full functioning Bronco in there, and it did a good job. But Huge, man, Huge's weapon.
It's a big deal, man.
It's an even bigger deal because they towards the end they kind of, I think Bronco was dead at the end. They just kind of peeled away at that one side piece of armor, and by the end it was just like the light. There was a light inside that was coming out. I thought it was fire to begin with, but it wasn't. It was just a light internally. And by the end of that fight, that light was gone, and Bronco was dead. And I think Huge raised some eyebrows with this fight, not only because they went
its
to
own eyebrows.
Maybe. Not only are they at 3-1 now, but they put Bronco at 0-3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
No one guessed that.
I mean, we all talked in the beginning of the season about them having a slump, but nothing like this.
Nothing like this. I still think didn't we all at least predict they were going to make it into the bracket? I think we did, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we kind of said, if they're not going to be in the bracket, then they must have done something majorly wrong. And I think the thing is, they haven't really had a bad run. I mean, they lost to Bite Force. Fair enough, it's Bite Force. Yeah, it's Bite Force. Huge. This fight really doesn't suit them at all in any way. Like, this is, as I said, like, this for me just doesn't favour them, and they still did a very good job, and they probably could have taken it had they had Huge not started to dominate towards the end.
And the free shipping fight was just
bad luck.
Super terrible luck.
Yeah, so, I mean, for me, this is now Bronco out. Like, they ain't getting in the top. I mean, unless they fight Bite Force next week. They're going to pull a bombshell? Fight Bite Force again and win or something and absolutely dominate the fight. But, man, Bronco.
Maybe they'll get a fifth fight like Mammoth did. Like, what the heck?
Maybe.
That last chance rumble, baby.
Yeah, maybe. Matt, I mean, what do you think's like kind of been Bronco's kind of weak point this season, if there was one? Is it just the machine?
They talked about the monkey on their back, Yeah.
Like,
what is the actual monkey?
They went through and did a massive redesign on Bronco. It's a brand new frame. They rebuilt the whole thing in the off season, and whenever you do those kind of massive redesigns, you come up with new failure modes. You find them. And I think they're finding them this season, whereas previous years they had kind of had a chance to kind of dial their robot in, and the last year's Bronco was about as good as it could get. This season's kind of they're starting over with a new frame and kind of making those adjustments from there. And Huge this year is looking fantastic.
Yes.
They were brand new last year, but that reliability issue where they broke in half. They got that issue solved, and they just look super tough this year.
As I take nothing away from Huge, that they earned this fight win. I think that's very fair to say.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Bronco for May. Like, do you think do they need to go away and like look at a new concept entirely? Is this as far as they can take this iteration of their flippers?
I don't think so. I think they've got some issues they need to get sorted out. I think they're not as fast. I don't feel like they're as fast as they were, in previous seasons, and they don't turn as well as they need to. These bots, the four-wheel drive verts are so fast and so quick turning. They're just kind of exposing the longness of Bronco, and I think that's something that they need to kind of get sorted out.
Yeah, bit
and
more
it
agility,
can
maybe.
fight well. It can fight well because we saw its fight against free shipping in the live event in Vegas. It's clear that they can really take it to some tough competition. And I mean, free shipping, it's original sin with a forklift. So it's a really tough opponent, and it threw it everywhere. But I guess going back to maybe something that was said before, the four-wheel vert meta has really hurt Bronco. I guess Huge too, because Huge is one of those designs where they started in the lower weight classes and basically exposed the tournaments in the Northeast. I know at least a little bit in that area. They basically exposed something that people weren't doing, which was armoring their tops. So basically, what you do is you just spin your bar and just attack the tops of the robots, and then they were so dominant, and you could see how effective that was when they fought against Gigabyte this year. And it was expert driving with that robot. I'm very proud that they put bike treads on it this time, because that was one thing with Huge that was really a nagging problem, was the traction on the arena floor.
Yes.
And I think with that,
Huge in that 3-1, I think fairly certain in the bracket. They lost to Son of Whyachi, no disgrace there.
That's a big win since.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Of course they have. And
Bronco, Gigabyte. And who's the other one they've beaten so far?
it was Jasper.
Ah, that was it. Yes.
Brilliant. So that's pretty much summed up episode 12. Again, Matt, I have to say a massive thank you for joining us once again. It was an absolute pleasure, mate.
Oh, no worries. Thanks for inviting me. I always have fun on these.
Excellent.
Yeah, thanks,
Cheers,
Matt.
cheers, man. And I also have to say a big thank you to everyone who was at RoboNerd this weekend just gone. I know, obviously myself and Anderson were able to.
I know. I really wanted to be there. I'm so sorry.
It was just great fun, meeting a lot of people who we've obviously spoken to, a lot over the years, and it was just really cool to kind of meet so many amazing people, and there's a couple of teams from BattleBots obviously who were there this season as well. We got to see Monsoon in the flesh and stuff like that. It was really great fun. So thank you for everyone who came along.
Yep. Anybody in the USA,
Fantastic.
I couldn't make it to RoboNerd, but I will be in Orlando at Maker Faire. So come say hi. I think Matt will be there too.
Oh yeah, I'll be there for sure.
Yeah, man. So
Excellent, good stuff.
fun times ahead.
Go to Orlando Maker Faire, because that was the place last year where we finally saw Mammoth and Foxtrot. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be huge this year. We have 28 different heavyweight robots there this year, so a lot of them from BattleBots as well. So it'll be crazy.
Fantastic news. That's brilliant to hear. Anyway, with that said, I've been Sam Elliott 64.
I've been Anderson 913, the Rebels Guru.
I've been Steve, the American Killjoy.
And I'm Matt Spurk with Kraken.
And the three of us will see you next week for episode 13 of BattleBots 2019. Well, maybe it will be. Who knows? We might see some more bracket implications next week. Who knows?
Definitely.
But the three of us will see you next week. See you then.